Hello everyone and welcome to the Gunpla Network. I'm the Spicer and today's unboxing of the High Grade Shining Gundam comes to you courtesy of Canadian Gundam. Canadian Gundam is your one-stop shop for all your Gunpla and plamo needs here in North America. When you're checking out their vast catalog and placing your next order, don't forget to use the promo code Gunpla Network to save 10% off. In the world of Mobile Fighter G Gundam, we are introduced to the Gundam Fights, which are kind of like the Olympics, but with one sport and Gundams versus a bunch of sports and no Gundams. The mobile suit we're unboxing today is the GF13-017NJ Shining Gundam, which is Neo Japan's fighter for the 13th Gundam fight we see in the series. Domon Kasshu, the hot-blooded protagonist straight from a Super Robot show, pilots it, and his crew member Rain Mikamura mostly maintains it, because it does take quite a bit of damage throughout the series. The Shining Gundam is kind of the first iteration for the 13th Gundam fight of Neo Japan's Gundams. There is the God or Burning Gundam, and of course the Rising Gundam after that. However, there are many other variants from the previous Gundam fights that we don't really get to see in the show, but kind of exist through other mediums. All of the mobile fighters for G Gundam are mostly focused on hand-to-hand combat, abandoning bazookas or beam rifles or even just traditional warfare that we're used to in the UC, and focusing on martial arts, beam sabers, cool special attacks, a lot of super robot vibes happening here. Now, that being said, the Shining Gundam does have a super mode. It does have a minor transformation that we get to see, and I'm assuming the model kit will replicate at least to some extent. You have the regular super mode, then you have like the hyper super mode where it's all gold plated, which of course this kit is not, but it is nice to know that that's there, and if you want to paint it, I suppose you could. Now, taking a look at the box, it's pretty standard fare for a 10-year-old model kit at this point. We of course have the High Grade Future Century logo, the G Gundam logo, and a really nice big art splash of the Shining Gundam in its super mode, with the shining finger being front and center. We see some gold-plated details that likely won't be on the model kit, but if you'd like to paint them, you can. The illustrations for the box art are done by Magaki Ryota, and we see that this came out in 2011, making it a full 10 years old. We of course have the designations and everything, and generally speaking, a pretty nice little actual model kit representation of the Shining and Master Gundam going at it. Now on the side of the box, we have a nice front and back representation of the Shining Gundam all built up. We of course get to see it fight Master Gundam again, just the same box art from the front carried over here and expanded, and a bunch of lore for the Shining Gundam. Now, much like Wing, the G Gundam suits are quite a bit smaller than their predecessors in the Universal Century, coming in at 16.2 meters and 6.8 tons, so you're probably not going to notice it too much on your shelf with the scaling on these, but they are a little bit smaller. I do want to point out the black pinstripes on the front and back are likely going to be stickers instead of actually being like painted or panel lined. You can do that yourself, of course, just kind of a note. In terms of the gimmicks, we of course get to see it all in its super mode here. All of these sliding parts and all the fun things there. We'll see how well that works in practice. We get to see the big shining finger gimmick carried over from the Master Gundam, two regular beam sabers, and then a shining finger beam saber with the G Gundam logo. Which, if I remember correctly, the G Gundam logo that this is referencing is from the opening, which happens just on a regular beam saber. So, a little strange it happens here, but it is cool that it's included. The big shining finger looks to be really cool, same all the effects that we got on the Master Gundam, so it just looks good. And then the transformation hopefully will be pretty good. Hopefully it's not two parts for me, especially up there on the head, which I assume it's going to have to be. Looking at the plastic, we have the A plate, which is going to give us the biggest variety of color throughout the kit. We have blue, we have red, we have yellow, and then of course we have that clear green for the shining finger. We do get a left and a right shining finger for regular shining finger antics. Then we get one big extension piece for the right hand to kind of coincide with the Master Gundam's version. And then the big light clear green beam saber, which is cool. I just don't remember it from the show at all. Going on to the B plate, this is B1, and it's going to pretty much cover all the white armor on the mobile suit. B2 is going to carry this over, but generally this is your arms, your legs, your extra armor pieces for the waist, and all of that fun stuff. B2 is just a continuation of that for where you need it. Pretty cool, both white, both work pretty well. We have the C plates here making all the internal parts of the mobile suit. So you have your regular hands here, you'll have your elbows, your knees, all that fun stuff. And you do get some cool inner workings for, it looks like probably the legs and the forearm. We of course get a sticker sheet, some beam saber blades, which are 2 different lengths, which are actually really nice to see. Your PC joints, and then a bunch of gold, black, and blue stickers. So hopefully the gold fits well. The black should be laid in pretty well too. I'm not too concerned. The blue, on the other hand, I'm not too happy with, but we'll see how it works in practice. Then we get the manual. Pretty standard fare, nothing to write home about here, but it does look nice. In general, I'm actually pretty excited for this. I was pretty impressed with the Master Gundam, especially with Fuunsaiki, and for it being a 10-year-old high grade from a line I kind of thought was going to be really dated, it didn't feel all that dated, and hopefully this doesn't feel the same way. Or hopefully this does feel the same way and doesn't feel dated. The stickers have me a little concerned. The black ones I'm not too concerned about. I built the Shining Bright Gundam, I think last year, and the sticker fitting for that went fairly well for all of the little like pinstripes and such. The gold, the blue, those two have me concerned. The gold being on the inside of the shoulders may not be too bad, but since it's got a bunch of ridges in there because there's a bunch of cutouts, I don't know how well it's going to stick or represent that look. And then the blue kind of being on a somewhat curved surface may or may not work too well. We'll see. If it doesn't look great, I'll figure something out, but generally speaking, I think this is going to be pretty impressive, save for those stickers. It is cool. We get a bunch of Shining Gundam effect parts for the Shining Finger, the Shining Finger big version, I guess, and then the sword. Like I said, I don't remember the sword from the anime, but it is still a really cool accessory, and I think it'll be something fun to use that's a little different than your traditional beam sabers. The beam sabers are actually something to write home about here as well, since they have the 2 different lengths. Kind of reminds me, I think, of the Age 1 and the Exia, maybe, having different length beam sabers, and that's just a really cool concept I kind of wish they did more of, just because it helps provide you a little variety, and with a lot of newer beam saber blades that are either the short variation or the really long one that just doesn't look too right for the scale. But generally, I'm excited about it. If you've built it, let me know in the comments down below what I should look out for, if it's the stickers or if it's part of the building process. Of course, if you have any other questions or you're on the fence, pop them down below. I'll do my best to answer them. And of course, check out our other content here on the Gunpla Network YouTube channel. As always, friends, I'm the Spicer. Please stay safe and keep on building.